Hi, hello. As you all know, I am your Basha sir. Welcome back to our channel, Maths with Khadir sir. As you all know, we completed the geometrical meaning of zeros of a polynomial in the last week. And today we are going to learn about an important and easy concept of this chapter 2 polynomials. What is that relationship between the zeros and coefficients of a polynomial? What is today's concept? Relationship between relationship between zeros and coefficients of a polynomial. As you all know, we learn how to find the zeros of a polynomial and what is zero of a polynomial and how to find the zeros of a linear polynomial. And in class 9, we learn how to find the zeros of a quadratic polynomial. First, let us understand what is zero of a polynomial. What is zero of a polynomial? Zero of a polynomial is nothing but it is a value. When you substitute that value in that polynomial, the entire polynomial, if it becomes zero, then it means the given value, the value which you substituted in the polynomial, that is known as the zero of a polynomial. Now we all know that the linear polynomial general form. What is that? Ax plus b. Ax plus b. If you want to find the zero of this linear polynomial, we simply equate this polynomial to zero. Then we will easily find the zero of this linear polynomial. How to find that? Ax is equals to minus b. X is equals to minus b by a. This is the zero of linear polynomial. Now come to the quadratic polynomial. How to find the zero of this polynomial? First, tell me what is the general form of quadratic polynomial? Nothing but ax square plus bx plus c. This is the quadratic polynomial. For this also, to find the zeros of this polynomial, we should equate this polynomial to zero, and then by using the splitting method to find the zeros of quadratic polynomial, we will easily able to find the zeros of this quadratic polynomial. Now let us understand each linear and quadratic polynomial with an example. As I said in the previous also, for linear polynomial, take y is equals to 2x plus 3. Now, how to do? Nothing but equal this polynomial to 0. Then 2x plus 3 is equals to 0. 2x is equals to minus 3. X is equals to minus 3 by 2. Now, what is the zero of this polynomial? Y is equals to 2x plus 3. X is equals to minus 3 by 2. When you substitute this x value in this polynomial, if this polynomial becomes 0, that means this is the zero of this polynomial. Now let us see what is that. Y is equals to 2x plus 3 and 2 minus 3 by 2 plus 3. Here 2 and 2 cancel. Minus 3 plus 3 is equals to 0. See, here this polynomial comes as 0. That means minus 3 by 2 is the zero of this polynomial. This is how we find the zero of a linear polynomial. But in this today's session, we are going to find the zeros of a linear polynomial and the zeros of a quadratic polynomial and the relationship between the zeros and coefficients of a polynomial. Now, this is about zeros of a polynomial. Now come to coefficients. What is coefficients? In the second video of this polynomial series, we learn about the components of polynomial. In that components, we learn terms, coefficients, power, degree. This all we learn. Now, today we are going to again revise about coefficients of a polynomial. For example, take the general form of quadratic polynomial ax square plus bx plus c. What I said in that video, in that lecture, that coefficients are nothing but the numbers which are attached with the variables that are known as the coefficients of the terms. For example, here see what is the coefficient of x square? A. Coefficient of x square is A. Here what is the coefficient of x? B. So that means coefficient means this. Like this, we are going to find today about the zeros of a quadratic polynomial and the relationship between the zeros and coefficients of a quadratic polynomial. For example, see here I am taking example 1. What is that? X square minus 2x minus 8x plus 6. This is the example. Now, what I said for linear polynomial, it is easy by equating that polynomial to 0 and finding out the zero. But here this is quadratic polynomial. Why it is quadratic polynomial? Because its highest degree is what? X square. What is the highest degree? Square. That means it is a quadratic polynomial. How to find out the zeros of a quadratic polynomial? As you learn in the class 9 about the splitting middle term. Now see here. What is the given polynomial? Given quadratic polynomial 2x square minus 8x plus 6. Again write here that polynomial 2x square minus 8x plus 6. Now splitting the middle term. What is the meaning of splitting the middle term? Nothing but here are total how many terms? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So take this first term as P and take this last term as Q. When you multiply these two, you will get 12. And when you multiply these two, what you will get? 2 into 6 is equals to 12. Then whose product is 12? And the sum of these two terms also become minus 8x. So how to write that? Nothing but write the factors of 12. 1 into 12, 2 into 6, 3 into 6, and 3 into 4, 4 into 3, and 6 into 2, 12 into 1. These are the factors of 12. Now see among these factors, by adding any two factors which give minus 8x, see here 1 plus 12, what they will give? 13. No, here 2 plus 6, 8. But here we have minus 8. So how to find out that? So by keeping minus 2 and minus 6, are we able to find 8 minus 8? Yes. So what are the two terms? What are the two factors that makes by multiplying 12 and by adding 8? Here see minus 2 into minus 6 is equals to minus into minus plus 12. Then if you add, you will get minus 8. So this is the correct one. Now how to write that? Nothing but here see 2x square minus 2x minus 6x plus 6. Here see minus 2 minus 6. What is that? Minus 8x. And minus 2 into minus 6, 12. Minus 2 into minus 6, 12. Now take common. What we take common? Here 2x in both. 2x and 1x is left here, and minus here 2x come out and 1 is left here, minus here what to take common? 6x minus 1. So here we have two factors. What is that? One is 2x minus 6 and second one is x minus 1. Sorry, I forgot to equate that to 0. First we have to equal the polynomial to 0. Now 2x minus 6 is equals to 0. 2x is equals to 6. X is equals to 6 by 2 is equals to 3. X is equals to 6 by 2 is equals to 3. So the one value of 10 of this polynomial is x is equals to 3. And what we get? Second one x minus 1. X minus 1 is equals to 0 and second one is x is equals to 1. This is about the finding zeros of a quadratic polynomial. Now we have to check whether these are the correct zeros or not. How to check? Nothing but by substituting these x values in this polynomial. If the polynomials become 0, that means these are the correct zeros of this polynomial. So write the polynomial. What is that? 2x square minus 8x plus 6. Now see, by substituting 3, what will happen? 3 square minus 3 plus 6. 2, 3 square means 9 minus 24 plus 6. Here 2 nines are 18 minus 24 plus 6. Here 18 minus 24, 18 plus 6, how much? 18 plus 6, 24. 24 minus 24 is equals to 0. So x is equals to 3 is the true zero of this quadratic polynomial. Now see again another 0. What is that? X is equals to 1. X is equals to 1. So 2x square minus 8x plus 6, 2 into 1 whole square minus 8 into 1 plus 6, 2 minus 8 plus 6. See here, 2 plus 6 is equals to 8 minus 8 is equals to 0. So this is also the zero of quadratic polynomial. Now coming to the relationship between the zeros and coefficient of this polynomial. First of all, listen carefully. The relationship between zeros and coefficients is nothing but here we saw that a linear polynomial have how many zeros? Only one zero. A quadratic polynomial is how many zeros? Only two zeros. Only two zeros. What about cubic polynomial? Three zeros. In the last session, in the last video also, we saw that in a graphical representation or geometrical meaning of zeros of the polynomial, that linear polynomial will have only one zero and the quadratic polynomial only have two zeros and the cubic polynomial only have three zeros. So this is easy to remember that how many zeros a linear or a quadratic or a cubic polynomial will have. Now coming to the relationship between zeros and coefficients of a polynomial. Coefficients of a polynomial. Nothing but see here, whenever you are finding the zeros or the relationship between coefficients and zeros of a quadratic polynomial or any other polynomial, first you write the general form of quadratic polynomial. The general form of quadratic. What is that? Ax square plus bx plus c. As we saw in the previous example problem, that a quadratic polynomial have only two zeros. So that where if this is a quadratic polynomial, then it have two zeros. One is known as alpha and second one is known as beta. Now, what zeros we got in the previous example? One is x is equals to 3 and one is x is equals to 1. Remember this. And next, sum of zeros. This is about the relationship between zeros and coefficients. If you carefully observe, this is so easy. Just you have to remember this. What is that? Sum of zeros is equals to alpha plus beta. See, here we have two zeros. If this is a quadratic polynomial, the two zeros of this quadratic polynomial is one is alpha and second one is beta. So sum of the zeros, sum in the sense addition. So addition and two zeros, alpha plus beta. So what is the first zero we got here? 3. And what is the second one? 1. So what is the sum of the zeros? Alpha plus beta is equals to 4. And here remember this, alpha plus beta is equals to minus b by a. As I said that in this quadratic polynomial, here b is the coefficient of what variable? X. So b is nothing but coefficient of x by a is coefficient of x square. So this is about minus b by a. So in the last 2x square minus 8x plus 6, this is the last example problem, that is last example quadratic polynomial. Now coming to here, what is the coefficient of x here? 8 minus 8 by here, what is the coefficient of x square? 2. sorry, here minus b na, so we have to write this is having minus sign, but in sum of zeros minus b by a. So here minus and minus cancel, or minus into minus plus 8 by 2 in 2 table 8 how many times? 4. See here both are same or not? The sum of the zeros alpha plus beta is equals to minus b by a. The sum of the zeros and the coefficients. The zeros and the coefficients are both same or not? This is what the relationship between the coefficients and the zeros of any polynomial, whether it is a linear, a quadratic, a cubic. Now next come to product of zeros. Next come to product of zeros. We know that product nothing but multiplication of any two things. Now product of zeros. What are the zeros a quadratic polynomial have? Alpha and beta. So simply write alpha into beta is equals to, alpha into beta means alpha into beta. Here minus b by a. Here product of zeros is equals to c by a. C in the sense what? C in sense what? Constant term or what? Constant term. So constant term by coefficient of x square. A is coefficient of x square or not? Now tell me alpha into beta. What is the first zero we got? 3 into 1 is equals to 3. So here, what is the C constant term? 6. And what is the A coefficient of x square? 2. So this is also 3. This is also 3. So this is what the relationship between the zeros and coefficients of a polynomial. So this is about today's session, the relationship between the zeros and coefficients of a polynomial. I hope you understood the concept, very easy concept and very important concept. So listen carefully and try to understand what is going here, and share this video with your friends and like our videos and subscribe our channel, and we will meet again in the next video. Until then, stay tuned to our channel Maths with Khader sir.